The Agenda Podcast, the home of sporting nonsense and claptrap. Brought to you by Export Ultra.
Morning, Jeremy. Welcome into the podcast.
Morning, Manaia. Kill you to turn the... Well, who's got the air conditioning up in this bloody place? It's freezing out there today.
Too cold?
Oh, it's freezing. Have you been outside?
Yeah. This studio is up and down. It's either sweltering hot or it's Arctic blizzard cold.
It's menopausal.
It is menopausal.
Doesn't know whether it's hot, doesn't know whether it's cold, doesn't know whether it's trying to make babies or whether it's trying to shut it down, whether it's drying up, whether it's moistening up.
It's going through the change.
It really is.
This studio. Yeah, a lot of snow down south. I'm getting a lot of photos being sent through, and my mum's texting me going, "Geez, it's cold down here."
Yeah.
Tell you what, she doesn't want to hear me complaining about the weather in Auckland.
No. Does that make you long for the horrific weather of the South Island or not?
Not at all. I hate snow. Controversial opinion, largely because I can't ski, but also because snow to North Islanders, like if you've lived in Auckland your whole life, snow is this magical, mystical, whimsical sort of thing. But in reality, it's sludge. Everything's fucking wet. There's mud everywhere. You know, it's actually not as magical a time of year as you think it would be. And it just makes life so much worse. So, yeah, me personally, I can't go snow.
Okay, so when you see snow, you see dead lambs.
Yes, I see dead lambs. I see calves born too early.
Yeah, you see pain in the agricultural sector.
Yeah, that's right. You know, is it gonna dry out in time for you to put some feed down?
Yeah,
Are they going to be eating off? You know, and then everything's going moldy. It's just, and it's sludge. That's the part that people don't realise about it. It's not often that you get the powdery snow.
Yeah,
it's the sleety, sludgy shit.
Yeah,
that just it's crashing your car. It's your flatmate taking your car down to the dairy and sliding out around the corner.
Yeah. And
then lying about it.
Really? It's a very specific story. Clearly, something happened to you along those lines. Why don't the South Islanders drive in snow tyres? Have you heard of snow tyres? I went to Japan and I was driving in the snow.
Yeah.
And I was driving in a car, just a normal car. It's four-wheel drive, but it's a car. And it was a Subaru Forester, and it had these things called snow tyres, which means you don't have to wear chains.
Oh.
You don't put chains on.
No.
These things grip in the snow. It's quite out of it. They look like kind of normal tyres, but they're softer.
Right.
And so when they get cold, they're still soft, so they grip. Whereas, you know, opposed to normal tyres, when they get cold, they go hard and they slide.
It's like plastic, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get sideways once, and I was driving in deep snow all the time.
Yeah, right.
It's great.
I'm sure that there would be parts of the country that have them in certain times of the year, but no, I haven't seen them.
Oh, so good, the snow tyre.
Yeah, there's nothing more humiliating than trying to put a set of chains on.
The worst thing is that my partner, Tulsi, is really good at putting on chains.
Oh.
And so when we go skiing, she puts on the chains, and I sit in the side of the car.
Keeping your hands warm.
And she's out there on a mat getting dirty. And I tell you what, man, I get some filthy looks, particularly from women.
Yeah.
Who are like, how dare you?
Is that the fucking 7 Sharp guy sitting in the...
How dare you? It's like, she's good at it. She enjoys it.
What are you supposed to do?
I know. Some people are good at putting on chains.
Yeah, my missus is better at backing a trailer than I am. I'm man enough to admit it. I'm not too proud to say she's really good at backing a trailer.
Yeah.
Grew up on a farm, you know. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
We've got the greatest New Zealander debate going on at the moment, Jerry, and I thought I'd get you in today because this one I know you'll be able to weigh in on. Yesterday it was Fred Dagg versus Billy T.
Oh.
Billy T won in a landslide.
Really?
And I think partially due to the fact that a lot of Fred Dagg's work was done over in Australia.
Yeah.
Also, Fred Dagg, just one of the characters, played by, why am I forgetting his name?
By John Clark.
John Clark, yeah. So
okay, so it wasn't John Clark, it was Fred Dagg.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Fred Dagg was good.
Yeah, for sure.
But which character played by Billy T? I mean, Billy T played a whole lot of characters.
And I think that's probably what won it. I also think that Billy T's remembered more fondly than Fred Dagg is. We were saying yesterday, Heath was talking about, there's the comedians win the towel if they're the best comedian of that year. Yep. So, that one was won by a landslide. Today's one is going to be very tough. It's going to cause a lot, it's going to tear families apart, this one. And I know you're already torn about it. Today's matchup for the greatest New Zealander of all time is Richard Hadlee versus Dan Vettori.
Oh, man. This is, and you're asking me this question.
I'm asking you as Richard Hadlee's biggest fan.
Yes.
And also a personal friend of Dan Vittori.
This is really hard for me. I am definitely Richard Hadlee's #1 fan. I've now realised it. I used to think that everybody loved Richard Hadlee. I just grew up thinking that he was like the greatest human that ever lived.
Yeah.
And therefore everybody loved him, and I was one of the multitude of people who just worshipped everything he did, including the way he skipped at the beginning of his run-up and the way that he wore wristbands as well, and his moustache. But it turns out I was actually the #1 fan. I loved him more than anyone else. I paid more attention to everything about Richard Hadlee than anyone else.
Was it a slow realisation when you were talking to people at cocktail parties and realising their eyes are glazing over when you're talking about bowling averages?
It was a slightly slow realisation, but it really came to me one day when Stephen Fleming organised a lunch to celebrate the 2015 Cricket World Cup, the announcement of that. And Stephen Fleming organised very kindly, what a lovely man Stephen Fleming is, he organised me to sit beside Sir Richard Hadlee because he had heard that I idolised him, probably through Dan Vittori. And not only did he sit beside Richard Hadlee, he sat on the other side of me was Wakar Younis. I was in a Hadlee-Younis sandwich.
Wow,
And I love Wakar Younis.
Yeah.
What a great bowler he was. I thought he was mean and nasty because he always looked terrifying when he was bowling. He is the gentlest, nicest man.
Really?
Humble, just a very nice human.
Until you put the chair in his hand and then he's at your throat.
Vicious. Yeah. I mean, a green seamer with Wakar Younis steaming it. Old ball, new ball, whatever. Man, that guy was terrifying. And
he's up in your ribs.
And he steamed in from miles, and he really steamed in. And then he sort of did that thing where he jumped and stopped.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying as a batsman because there's a pause. Like you wait, you're terrified. And then there's this pause. It's like, oh, God. It's the shooting fire. Yeah, he's vicious. And he will bowl a devastating bouncer plus a devastating Yorker. That's a terrible combination.
Is there a chance that you were sat next to Richard Hadlee because no one else at that lunch wanted to sit next to Richard Hadlee?
It turns out Richard Hadlee loves a red wine.
Oh, really?
I found that out. Wakar Younis not such a fan. But Richard Hadlee necked a couple of reds.
Yeah.
And really loosened up, and it's quite a good time, Richard Hadlee.
Did you have any burning questions that you'd carried since a child that you wanted to ask?
Of course I did, Manaia.
Yeah.
Of course. I had a list.
What did you punish him?
I seriously had a list that was like 5 pages long. But
yeah.
I realised I couldn't do that. And I'm not stupid. So I was like, okay, I've got one. I'm going to have to ask him one question. Because I can't just be peppering him with questions. Even though that's what I'd like. Pepper him with questions. He's not going to enjoy this. So I thought, I've got one. And I was like, what can that one be? And I was like, I know. So it was around the change of run-up when he went from the long run to the short run. And in that time, in about 1981, 1982, he changed from the short to the long. And he used to alternate, actually. And he was criticised quite heavily in New Zealand cricket for going back to the short run-up because he was our #1 strike bowler.
Right.
Even though he felt that he was a better bowler coming off the short run. But anyway, when he did that, he changed the beginning of his run-up where he used to skip, bringing his back leg, his right leg, around behind the left leg and sort of almost in front of it. It was a very strange kind of side-on maneuver.
At the top of the run-up?
At the top of the run-up. It was a really weird move. And he stopped doing that to this little hop, this little skip at the beginning of his run-up. There's with a little brush of the hand on the legs, almost like to sort of put the ball in the hand.
Yeah,
you go from transfer the ball from the left to the right hand. And I always wondered, I was like, was that a conscious decision? Because it was quite a dramatic change. It's quite a, to stop doing one and start doing the other as a bowler. And I said to him, I noticed in 1982 that you changed from around the back skip to a little hop. And I said, why did you do that? And was it gradual or was it one day? And he said, nobody's ever asked me that question before.
Yeah, I bet they haven't.
And I said, I said, oh, well, I'm interested in that. And he said it was because I used to play league cricket and county cricket, and you were only allowed to come in off 15 paces off 15 metres. Yeah. And so I had the short run up, and I used that to skip to get me going because I couldn't bring the leg around and get the timing right.
Right.
And he said, then I just introduced it to Test cricket and one-day cricket. I was like, oh, there we go. So it was a conscious decision.
Right. So it was like last man stands or like twilight cricket where you're only allowed to come off 3 paces.
Yeah, try and keep the games faster, I suppose.
Yeah, that would be annoying in county cricket to have some just village dude who's coming off the boundary,
Oh, man.
bowling 110. Like, do we need it?
And in those days, there were some big run-ups.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
there was some, Michael Holding, he was running in from about 50 metres.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long way.
That's over the rope in some boundaries.
Yeah, that's right. At Eden Park, he's coming from up in the catering and not making his way down. So I think they were trying to sort of shorten things down.
Shorten the game.
So that was, I was so proud that he said to me, "No one's ever asked me that question before."
Did that impact his bowling at all? Did it take a couple of clicks off? Did it?
I think he lost a couple of clicks, definitely, but he gained a little bit of control.
Yeah.
And I think all of a sudden, it was a golden period from 1982 through to 1990. He took so many wickets.
Longer spells, I suppose, as well, because you're not running as far.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said, longer spells. And he didn't lose a lot of pace. He certainly didn't lose any of his bounce. I think that was the thing with Richard Hadlee people don't understand. He came with a very high arm action, amazing wrist action, and just extracted a lot of bounce. And you saw it when you watched him live, and I watched him live a bit as a kid, and the ball would always hit the gloves hard, and it was always on the up on the way through to Ian Smith.
Yeah, right. So that's your love affair with Richard Hadlee. And actually, funnily enough, when I texted you last night about coming on this morning, the last text I had sent to you was I couldn't remember the mantra that he had at the top of his run-up, and I had just texted you. What was Hadley's?
Rhythm Swing Lily.
Rhythm Swing Lily. Was that the name of his book as well?
Rhythm and Swing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he didn't put Lily in the title, oddly enough. The greatest moment I had with Richard Hadlee came about 3 months ago when I went down to his house. He was selling his house. I went down for 7 Sharp to do a story, and I wandered around his house, and he showed me around his house. And then at the end of it, we sat down in front of his big screen TV, which is giant, must be about like 80 inches. It's huge. On these 2 lazy boys in his house in Christchurch. And we started watching Richard Hadlee clips. So I watched Richard Hadlee playing in 1981 against Australia at the SCG, where he took 5 wickets. And I watched that with Richard Hadlee. That's one of the greatest moments of my life.
Yeah.
I would say top 3.
How quickly was he able to pull that highlight reel up?
Oh, it was on his MySky. Along with a whole lot of other highlights of his.
How many other people have been subjected to this?
Hey!
I know it was a treat for you,
Jeez.
but, you know.
Subjected. It was just amazing. I was like, if I could be in this moment for the rest of my life, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I'm just imagining his wife just being like, oh, really, again?
Oh, totally. Diane. She was somewhere else. She was in another part of the house. She's like, oh, God, he's watching himself on TV again. But the interesting thing, he was critiquing his own performance. And he's like, oh, that's rubbish. Keep going, God, what a load of rubbish that is. He goes, oh, good delivery coming up here. Watch this one. Just angles in and then just nips away. And he was right. Like, there's a couple of absolute screamers.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been a beautiful moment.
Oh, man.
G Lane recently retold the story about you being given the keys to the roller at high school and rolling out the pitch to within an inch of its life overnight before school exchanges.
Yeah, it was a double whammy for me. That not only did I get off class, particularly geography with Mr. Lloyd, who didn't even know that I wasn't even in the class, which I got my best mark in actually. But that was an opportunity to get out of class. Plus, I loved just being on the roller. I loved operating a bit of technology.
Yeah,
you know, tractors always fun to drive, cars are fun to drive, etc. And yeah, you get to the peace and quiet of just sitting out and just rolling this. But what I didn't realize is you can over roll a pitch.
Oh, really?
I didn't know anything about pitches. I just wanted this really hard. I thought that the problem with New Zealand pitches was they weren't hard enough.
Yeah.
And it turns out you can just roll the living bejesus out of it. So this pitch it was like a rolled piece of mud, hardly any grass on it. And you'd stand it, you couldn't get a key into it.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, this is going to be, and with the new ball, it would, and if you bowled first, it came through, and then all of a sudden it just died in the second innings because it had no grass on it. And that's when Vittori would come into his own. Yeah,
right. So did that become a bit of a play for your team? Right, Jerry's going to get out there, roll this thing into the core of the earth, and then Vittori's going to come out and turn it square. Well, is it wrong that I produced a pitch that I then took 6 wickets on? You did. And I wondered about that. Is that legitimate? Was there like a bump right at your length that no one else knew about?
Actually, there actually was, but it was not something that I crafted. But I did know that.
But you knew it was there.
I did, but I don't know if I bowled from that end or the other end. But there was a little ridge in it. But yeah, looking back on it now, I think is that actually a little bit dodgy?
No,
I wasn't trying to be dodgy.
That's just home field advantage, I think. You know, that's always been part of the game.
G Lane benefited from it.
Did he?
Yeah, G Lane benefited from it.
Would he come steaming in off the long run?
Yeah, G Lane knew the right areas to bowl in on that pitch. Took a lot of wickets on that pitch.
So for you're going to have to go Richard Hadlee, aren't you?
Well,
Versus Vettori.
I mean, I love Dan Vettori, and I love what Dan Vettori did. Immensely proud of Dan Vettori as a person. You know, it's that thing when you know someone as a kid, and I remember him as a 15-year-old. When you know someone as a 15-year-old, you know them for the rest of your life because you know their essence. And he's exactly the same. He is still a 15-year-old.
The man who fooled a nation.
Yeah, he's smart. He's funny. He's cheeky. He's a lot of fun, and so I have a huge amount of love for him. But I know that he doesn't want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Like I know if I know him, I know that he would like me to vote him off.
Yeah, right.
Because he doesn't want to be a part of it. He doesn't want anyone to notice him. I mean, if he could have played cricket and no one could have watched, he would have been much happier.
Well, he's also grown that sort of David Letterman post-career long beard that guys get where they're like, I'm sick of being in the public eye.
Yeah.
I want to go full Gandalf and just not have anyone recognise me.
Yeah. Well, he used to take his glasses off back in the day because he was, he wore glasses playing cricket, and he'd go out without glasses on.
I don't think I'd recognise him without glasses.
People didn't used to recognise him.
Yeah.
But now he's in a situation. I mean, I don't know how he goes in India now. He walk around India, everyone knows who he is.
Yeah, tall white guy.
Yeah, it's quite full on in that situation. You can't go to a place like India and be anonymous.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. One of the comments on social media said Dan Vettori, they're voting for Dan Vettori purely on the basis of him loading a couple of other players in his man of the series Lancer and ripping donuts on the field in India.
Oh yeah, was it England? Was it India or Bangladesh? It was one of the two.
Yeah,
I feel like it may have been Bangladesh. That was the days where you could do anything on tour because I think the game was televised, but it may not have been televised into New Zealand.
Yeah, tape delay at least.
And those Bangladesh was like, you may as well have played on the moon. and he got in that car and he really racked. There's no rules, and nobody in Bangladesh would ever tell you off.
And I've heard I think it was Scott Styris and Stephen Fleming, I think, were in the car with him, and they were just giving him heaps.
He was pulling handbrakes on the field.
It was, to be honest, it was a pretty average car that he'd won too. It wasn't like a Lamborghini or anything.
Totally.
So yeah, I think so that you can go and cast your votes on that on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. How do you I know what way you're voting. How do you think the public's going to see it?
That'll be interesting. Well, a lot of people won't know who Richard Hadlee is now.
Yeah.
I imagine. I mean,
I never saw him.
Your generation didn't grow up watching him, and they didn't realise just how much better him and Martin Crowe were than everybody else in our team. I think there's everybody else. Yeah, him and Martin Crowe were world-class players, and the rest of the team were good players, but they just weren't world-class.
Yeah.
And he genuinely got out world-class batsman Richard Hadlee. He was quality.
Yeah. So yeah, I really don't know which way this one's going to go. There's been a lot of landslides over the last week or so, but I think this one's going to come right down to it. So yeah, you at home can go and have your say on Facebook or Instagram. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to stick with cricket for a bit, because I want to know what the whole central contract situation is and means. It doesn't make any sense to me. So we'll be right back after this quick ad break. The news came out probably yesterday or over the weekend, Jerry, that Finn Allen and Conway are turning down central contracts from New Zealand cricket. Mm-hmm. What does that actually mean? How does the contract thing work?
How does a contract work?
Well,
I've
never been offered one. How do they?
It's an agreement between two parties where they write a whole lot of things on a piece of paper and decide on a whole lot of stuff because they don't trust each other. That's basically what it is. Like marriage.
Yeah, right.
So I think with the central contract, New Zealand cricket offer you a certain amount of money, and part of that is a central contract. You play a certain amount of games, and you're essentially playing for New Zealand.
Yeah, right.
And you do whatever New Zealand want you to do. But obviously that means that you only have certain windows that they decide where you can go overseas and play in T20 leagues.
Which basically I think is almost just the IPL.
Yeah, it is. And potentially you might have something in your contract that might says that you might be able to have another one somewhere along the line. I don't know.
Caribbean.
Every contract will be slightly different. But the central, not signing up to a central contract means you don't get the, I think it's generally, last time I looked, and that was a while ago, it was like $250,000, $300,000 that you might get. And everyone gets contracted to different amounts.
Yeah.
But generally it's like, $200,000, whatever, from New Zealand Cricket. That's like a retainer where they kind of own you.
Yeah.
And guys now, obviously, who are having lucrative contracts overseas in the IPL, they're like, well, I don't want to be bound by a New Zealand Cricket central contract.
That's right.
Because then I'm not going to be able to go and earn money somewhere else. And I've only got this limited amount of time that I can earn money as a cricketer.
So if the central contract's like a marriage, then what these guys are doing now is almost like a side piece. Like, when it suits me, I'll text you middle of the night, hey, you up?
Yep.
And then it's on.
Yeah.
And it'll be hot and passionate.
I mean, it's everyone's dream, isn't it?
But
it's everyone's dream to not have a central contract.
Yeah.
But still be wanted.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Well, yeah, but you got to have a think about how New Zealand cricket feels in this situation. Do they feel used?
Well, you got to say New Zealand Cricket spraying it around because they're married to a lot of people, so they've got the choice of a lot of people.
That's a good
point.
Whereas,
as a player, you've only got the one.
Yeah,
you've only got New Zealand Cricket, so it's a little bit. New Zealand Cricket are asking a lot of players, and the central contract system came from a time when cricket was different. I mean, when there was no IPL, there was no massive T20 leagues all around the world.
So what does it mean for these? That doesn't mean that Finn Allen and Conway won't get picked, right?
No, it doesn't. It just means that they're free to do whatever they want. And then if they come back and say, hey, look, you can pick me, I'm available for the series, then New Zealand Cricket can pick them. Whether they do or not is an interesting thing, and there's obviously politics that comes into play there.
Yeah.
Because if the entire team start doing stuff like this.
Which it looks like they're going to.
Right. Well, that causes problems for New Zealand Cricket. Because they're like, well, hold on, how do we build a team? How do we build a squad when we don't know if these guys are going to be around in a year's time or 2 years' time? Because New Zealand Cricket's success has always been based around clarity and clarity's not the right word. Like
loyalty, or?
No, like selection. Basically, just making the same. I can't think of.
That's right. No, I know what you mean. It takes players so long to break into the team because they stick with the same players. Their selections are the same.
Continuity of selection.
Continuity.
That's probably a better way to do it. And so that's always and in building a team.
Yeah.
Because there's such a big jump between domestic cricket and international cricket that for guys to you can't sort of be coming between domestic and international just every now and then. It's like once you're in international cricket, then you can kind of focus on it. Such a massive step up. And the question is, are you good enough to take the step up? Because you can work really, really hard on your game and become a good domestic player. Can you take the step up to international cricket, though? Because that's going to require a whole lot more. Which was also the theory around a lot of players that you talk to who've played for New Zealand, really good players. They're all like, they don't necessarily, the guys who end up playing for New Zealand are not always the guys who have worked really, really hard to get there. They're often guys who have got there because they're really talented. And then people know that they've got what it takes if they now have to work hard. Well, now that they've got there on their talent, now they work hard, they're going to do really, really well.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting philosophy. It's different from other sports.
Yeah, I've always found cricket to be the one where, like, God, that looks like the hardest yakka. Like, you might toil away in the domestic leagues till you're 30 and then get, like, 2 caps and that's your career. There's just no certainty.
No.
It's so hard to break into that top team.
No, and so much luck. I mean, you could be going great guns and you could be doing everything you possibly can. You're training well. You're hitting the ball beautifully at practice, whatever. And you go out as an opening batsman, your team, your captain loses the toss. It's a green seamer. Yeah. You get put into bat. The overhead conditions are not favouring you. They might be overcast or something. The ball's moving around. You come up against a bowler who might be an ordinary bowler, but then just on their day, they put the ball in the right spot.
In the form of their life.
It gets a nick. Someone takes a great catch. I mean, you haven't done a lot wrong.
Nah.
And all of a sudden you got out for first ball duck.
Yeah, it was just your first time seeing Bumrah.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do?
There's just luck involved. So cricket's a weird game like that.
I think that too when we talk about, he's not a great player of spin over in the subcontinent. It's like, how do you know? We haven't been there for 2 years. He wasn't in that team. So it's been 4 years since you've seen that.
Yeah, well, you can say that a blanket about all New Zealand cricketers.
Yeah.
All New Zealand cricketers are not great players of spin in the subcontinent.
Yeah.
There are no international players really are that great at playing spin in the subcontinent. A couple of Australians who can do it. but generally not many.
Because unless a heavily stoned Jeremy Wells has been on the roller all night, you're just not going to see that much turn.
Mate, I mean, when you see some of those tests in India and it's turning square on day one, I mean, what are you meant to do? And you don't get those conditions in New Zealand. You can't practice in those sorts of conditions.
You can't create them.
No.
And just quickly to finish off on cricket, I talked to Heath about it yesterday. The Black Caps Tour of Oz confirmed 4 tests in 26, 27. Why are they announcing them so far out?
When is 26, 27?
So it's
is that like next century or when?
It's not this summer. It's not next summer.
It's not even the summer after that, is it? So this is 24, 25 coming up now.
Yeah.
Then we've got 25, 26. Then we've got 26, 27.
It's
so
that
it's
one.
3 summers away.
It's 3 years away.
Oh man,
we may not have any of the same players.
I can't even think. 2 summers ahead. That's crazy. But I guess what that does do is it does signal for New Zealand cricket fans that they can say to their partners, I'm going away for the Boxing Day test in 3 years' time, and every partner will sign that off now. Because it doesn't exist.
You can't see that far.
And then later on when it comes to the thing, remember that thing that I said 3 years ago?
I told you 3 years ago about this, so don't act surprised now.
I reckon that's the only reason they're announcing it. But that'll be huge. I went to the last one where we got smashed.
Yeah.
Really hard place to play Cricket Australia. Yeah. Really hard place to tour and win, especially on Boxing Day at the MCG. But in front of a massive crowd. But it'll be huge. I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I've locked it in with the partner.
Oh, you've already signaled that one?
Yeah. Absolutely. As soon as I heard the announcement, I texted Tulsi immediately.
Yeah. And you're going to dig that text out in 3 years' time.
Yeah, totally. That's a great thing. I've screenshotted it.
Yeah, but they come around quickly. So has the, this is a segue, by the way, for those of you playing at home. So has the Americas Cup. The preliminary regatta starts on Thursday.
Yeah.
If you can believe that. Then next week they have the Louis Vuitton Cup.
Yeah.
And that decides who races us for the Americas Cup.
That's right.
Which starts in like October. Why do we have such a hard-on for the Americas Cup in New Zealand?
Well, it's a historical thing, isn't it? But it dates back to Michael Fay and the Plastic Fantastic, the 1986-1987 challenge.
Is that the one that's still down at the...
No, that's the big boat.
Yeah.
Then we went through all that nonsense with the big boat and all those crazy challenges in the late 80s. I think the big boat was 1988.
Right.
When Michael Fay, very wealthy man, decided that he would go to New York and challenge the New York Yacht Club and found some legal loophole which said that the New York Yacht Club had to accept a challenge from a syndicate.
That's so sailing.
We put together this giant boat. New Yacht Club put together a catamaran, absolutely, with Dennis Conner.
Yeah.
And just completely destroyed us. And then we kind of claimed that they were cheating. But we went to the court in the first place. Anyway, that's complicated.
It's so sailing. There's always a lawsuit involved.
Yeah.
There's like court, there's like trademarks and patents. That's the latest headline. One of the teams is going another team about the fibre that they've made their mesh out of that covers one of the holes. And it's like, you've got a honeycomb pattern there. Now, we agreed that it was only going to be, octagons, but you've gone honeycomb.
Yeah, I think it's the oldest prize in the world.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the oldest cup in the world, the Americas Cup. And it means a lot. It's hard to win. It took, I think England had it, and then America took it, and then England never got it back. So it is really hard to win. And when Australia too won it in 1982, that was massive. They had a wing keel. Alan Bond put together that challenge. And that was amazing that they took it out of America because nobody thought that would ever happen. It wasn't called the America's Cup. It was only called that because they couldn't get it out of America.
Right.
And so and then all of a sudden, all these rich guys around the world went, oh, hold on, this is quite fun. This is something to spend my money on.
Yeah.
And this is a massive challenge for people who love challenges. And so now it's still the same where you've got billionaires going against each other. And
our team's called Emirates.
Yeah.
There's like the Prada, Gucci, Versace, Alinghi boat as well.
Yeah, totally. And is Oracle still going?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was having a look at the team names.
Okay. So do we get to go? I don't know how it is this time around, but do we get to go in the Louis Vuitton? Even though we're in part of the Defender series, do we also get to sail in the Louis Vuitton? Because they used to.
It did say that all teams sailed in the Louis Vuitton, the preliminary regatta, but I don't know whether that included us or not.
Okay. So you sort of want to do that, wouldn't you? So you can actually practice.
Yeah. Well, I've always said if how whoever's hosting it, and technically we are, despite it being over in Spain, they get to decide what the boat's going to be.
Yeah, they do.
And then everyone else has to sort of fall in line with that.
Yep.
Well, why don't we stack the deck entirely in our favour and just go waka ama? And we
Good call.
we have the full, Ngāti Awa waka ama club.
That's good call. Yeah, why not?
Because I dare say Switzerland wouldn't be able to keep up with us.
No, they'd be absolutely useless. No, that's not a bad call. I think, but part of it now, there's a delicate balancing act because there's SailGP now too.
Yeah.
So there's a delicate balancing act between making sure that you win it and making it so other syndicates want to still be involved in it.
I know, because this is
Like a little dangling carrot
That's
situation.
right. You have to leave the door open just a little bit because it's such a rich guy sport, and it's very rich guy to stack the deck entirely in your favour so no one else even has a sniff.
Yeah, totally.
But it's like playing a game with like one of your little cousins. If you want to play, backyard cricket and your nephew's the only one who could bowl to you, you can't just cart him around the neighbourhood.
No.
Because he's going to stop bowling to you.
Well, that's it. That's totally it. So this will be an interesting one because I don't know anything in the lead up to it. I don't know how we've been going. I mean, ultimately, it generally just comes down to who's got the fastest boat.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's why they
wins.
put everyone has to sail the same boat, because otherwise it'd just be who's the richest.
Yeah, but even then, like the fastest boat, but they're still slightly different.
Yeah.
There'll be some tiny little thing.
That's how the however many years ago it was where we were up by 11 races or something, and then they came back and
how amazing was that?
Raced
Jimmy
us.
Spittle, that was an amazing comeback. So what happens if because you seem to know a lot about America's Cup, Manaia. What happens if we defend this? Like, do we bring it back to New Zealand or do we take it on the road again?
Well, I think if we win this, Russell Coates and Jacinda Ardern are going to have a MMA fight about whether it comes back to New Zealand or not. It seemed to be what was happening last time.
Yeah.
It was like we'll only do it if the government gives us X amount of funding, and then the government's like, why would we give you any funding for this?
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck you, we'll take it somewhere else.
I think I like it when it's in New Zealand.
Yeah, I think it should be. Well, if we're defending it, it should be our right
Yeah.
to just be like, look, we're doing it. But, like I said before, such a rich guy sport. There's lawyers involved.
There's rich guy sport unless it's New Zealand.
Yeah, right.
We're like the least rich.
Well, yeah, but still.
We have the government. We're the only country that has the government that funds the syndicate.
Yeah, but that's what makes it feel like a rich guy sport, because it's like, what other sports lobbying the government about?
Yeah. Oh, well, there's a big amount of tourism, and
Yeah,
heaps of rich people bring their boats over here and all that sort of crap.
I don't think it'll happen. I think the precedent's been set now. It's going to be hosted in, some
somewhere
sick
else.
Mediterranean city. Yeah,
Well, it's miles away. New Zealand's so far away from everything else.
it is.
We forget because we live here,
Yeah,
but we're a long way away from the rest of the
we're
world.
not even on most maps.
No, and we're miles away from Australia, and Australia's miles away from the rest of the world.
Yeah. Having said all of that, this is a sport raced on yachts. So like they have a way of getting here.
But they don't generally sail the boats.
I would understand if.
Although they used to have to. Did you know that?
No, I would
So
imagine.
that's
at
what
a
they used to
certain
do. So the
point, yeah.
boat used to have to get across the Atlantic. And then it was the same boat that would then have to go into match racing. And it was like, no wonder you'd never win.
They've
'cause
been
the
living
thing
on
had to get across the bloody Atlantic.
Been living on it for 6 months.
Yeah, it was
shitting
full-
off the bow.
It was full on.
Yeah, no, well, that's what I meant. Like, I'd understand if, the F1 didn't want to come down here, because how do you drive your car across the Tasman? but the sailors have got no excuse.
Oh, I love your logic. It's great.
We're going to take one more quick break just before we do the Snackachangi Sports Scholarship. We're binge watching a sport. Is a sport. If you want to win that, you can text CHIP to 3236. Follow the link, and you could be in to win the ultimate ACC prize pack. Quick break. We'll come back with yours, please.
Yours, please. Brought to you by Leader, home of the lasagna topper.
This is your chance at home to get involved in the podcast. Pass on your feedback. First caller here, yours, please. Oh.
Yeah, g'day fellas. You guys should get behind it. At the 77th minute and the 77th second, the crowd should standing ovation to the end of the game for Shawnee J. It's a logical thing to happen. It makes sense. Don't argue with me about it. Make it happen. 77777.
I like it.
77th minute and the 77th second. There's not 77 seconds in a minute.
So
How does that work? That would go back into the 78th minute.
17
seconds into that.
You're asking the Warriors faithful to do a lot of maths at the ground, and that far into the game, they're going to be a few diesels in by that stage.
I think the beginning of the game, they wouldn't be able to do that, man.
No, maybe the 7th minute. I don't know. Did you see they're renaming Mount Smart Stadium Shaun Johnson Stadium? For whatever that means.
I don't know how I feel about that. I always find that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
I think great player Shawnee J, obviously played for the club forever.
Yeah.
Massively, a great servant for the game. Good guy, and done a huge amount. But I always think renaming grounds. You're not
For 1 week.
You're not renaming the ground.
No.
It's not true. You're just saying that the name of the person when you say the ground. I find that weird.
So do I. It's the biggest lip service. Like, you don't get to decide what the ground is called.
Nah.
It's called Mount Smart. You know?
Or is it?
Well, I mean, I know
It's
that.
something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called Go Hard Stadium or whatever.
It's called, I
Mount
think
Smart.
Go Media is what is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it-
O-Media?
Is that called? What was it? Ericsson
Stadium? I don't know.
Ericsson Stadium. Anyway, it's been called lots of things.
Yeah,
A shitter. It's been called a shitter. It's a bit of a shitter.
hard to get to. I'll give you that. It's very hard to get to. I would say that the once you're there, it's great. But yeah, you're in the heart of industrial Penrose.
There's a I don't know. It just faces a particular way, which means that there's a southwesterly which just whips through there.
Yeah,
And again, southwesterly whips through Eden Park too. Where does the
Swirls.
southwesterly not whip through?
well, that's right. I have talked to players for the Warriors who are from Australia who have said the reason that the Warriors can't sign Australian players is because when you come here from Aussie, you stay near the airport and then you drive from the airport through industrial South Auckland
Yeah.
to Mount Smart Stadium and then back again. You're like, fuck that city.
Yeah. Past the tip at Wirrie. It's not a glamorous drive, is
No,
it?
it's not.
And it's a hard place to get Ubers for some reason. I don't know why.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, at least with Mount Smart, you can put on a high-vis vest and just stand outside one of those small businesses and pretend that it's yours and charge people to park in there. At least you can do that.
Sometimes they ask for your keys.
Yeah, it's the home of the entrepreneurial spirit. I like that part of it.
They'll be like, can we just hold on to your keys? Because sometimes we have to move cars. Like, absolutely not. There's no fucking way I'm giving you my keys.
Yeah, but good on Shawnee J.
Yeah.
And I saw him last night on the news, on One News, and he's very emotional about it. I know he's a guy that's actually very deep down. He's a bit of a softie. He's an emotional dude, and I could see it last night. This means a lot to him.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm looking forward to watching that final home game as well. I think I'll be on the Matt and Jerry show on Friday. G-Lane usually puts a punt on your show, is that right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Just the tip?
Yep.
I'm thinking Shaun Johnson to score.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He played well last week, I thought.
And he scored.
Yeah, he scored.
But like every player on the field is going to be like, let's get Shaun Johnson a try here.
Yeah. Why have people not been? When Shaun Johnson scored that try, I was like, it made me realise, why have people not been running off Adam Fanua-Blake all season?
Oh, if I played for the Warriors, that is all I'd be doing.
Why?
I'd just be hanging out the back of Adam Fanua-Blake.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy has not once gone backwards or been driven backwards in a tackle the entire year.
He's never been tackled onto his back.
No, he's got beautiful feet. Man, he's going to be a huge loss.
Yeah.
God.
He is going to be a massive loss. Actually, don't really. Although we are replacing him with James Fisher-Harris, you know.
Yeah, that's
swings
true.
and roundabouts.
That's true, but James Fisher-Harris coming to a different time in his career, isn't he?
No, he'd be about the same age as Adam Fanua-Blake.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be up there with sort of two of the top 3-4 props in the game. So
Okay.
if I was saying when they were first announced that Adam Fanua-Blake's leaving, I was like, there should be a trade window, and the only player I'd trade him for would be James Fisher-Harris. And months later, got my wish. So
Okay.
but
would you say that James Fisher-Harris slightly better defensively, not quite as good with the ball?
Not at like this year and last year, Adam Fanua-Blake's been scoring tries, which for a prop's kind of rare. I would say it's a effort level thing or like a care thing. Like Adam Fanua-Blake, just doesn't seem, the body language seems like he just doesn't really care. Like he's always been so much better than everyone else. He'll sort of wander around the field, and when he's got the ball, he'll smash you. And on defense, he will put a hit on you. But like other than that, he's sort of strolling around. I feel like James Fisher-Harris is going to install a bit of mana into the team, which I think is the direction the club needs to go. Yeah. I'd also be pissed off if I was Jazz Tavanga. This is his last game at Mount Smart Stadium as well.
Yeah.
And they're not even renaming a stand for him.
No.
They're not even Fritz's Wieners can't get rebranded to Chastavanga's Wieners.
I saw him last night on the news when he had hair when he first started playing.
Yeah.
Freaky.
Yeah. It was like we were looking at photos of Lee Hart when he had hair the other day. Very, very disturbing. Anyway, let's knock this thing on the head. Thank you very much for joining me this morning, Jerry.
Thank you, Manaia.
And I'll see you on Friday for the old Just the Tip.
Beautiful.
Beauty. Cheers, mate.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast.